So this is the drive test sheet, and it says to pass, you must have no more than 3 errors marked from items 9 through 14 under the pre-drive checklist. So they're going to ask you the controls of the vehicle, the controls that we went over. I'll go over them briefly again. So if you make 3 mistakes here, they'll fail you on the spot. You're done. You failed your test already. So if you get 3 wrong in this from 9 through 14, you fail. And then once you leave from the test, once you actually leave on the road test, if you make a critical mistake, 1 critical error is a fail. So a critical mistake is if the examiner has to reach over and grab the wheel on you or say stop verbally, you failed the exam, okay, if they have to intervene. On your drive test, they're only going to tell you to turn right, to turn left, make a lane change. And they're only going to, so make sure you do everything right. If they have to intervene, you fail. If you hit the curb on a turn or pulling over, you will fail your drive test. If you roll through a stop sign and you don't make a complete stop at a stop sign, or you don't make a complete stop on a right turn on red, that's a fail. So make sure you always make a full stop. You can turn on red, make a right turn on red, as long as you fully stop and, make a good decision on when to go. But never roll through it. Never roll through the light. If the light is green, make sure you always you never stop. Slow down for the turn, but don't come to a complete stop on a green light. Unless you're yielding to a pedestrian, then that's a good reason to stop, or maybe a cyclist. Disobey safety personnel. That means like if there's an ambulance or any emergency vehicle with the sirens on, woo, 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 pull over. Pull over to the right and turn on your hazard lights, your emergency lights. And when you're done, when they pass you, then you can go back out, just signal left and then go back onto the street. Anything dangerous you do can fail you on your test. If you're speeding, there's only one speed limit in this area. It's pretty much 25 and 30 around here everywhere. So it's pretty much 25 everywhere around here in the normal street DMV area. Auxiliary equipment use, by the way, it's speeding. So if you're going 10 miles above or 10 miles below, will fail you. But try not to go over the speed limit at all. In some cases, you can fail for going 5 miles over, like in a school zone. You can easily fail for that because of the school zone. Auxiliary equipment use just means that if it happens to be raining and you're using your windshield wipers in the rain, you're supposed to have your headlights on in the rain too, except the examiner might not remind you because he's going to expect you to know. Also, in the rain, it can fog up. So push the defroster and then turn on the air like this. And then the air will blow through the vent, and that's how you defog your windshield. Anyway, that's what auxiliary equipment use is. So make sure you know how to use your tools. Lane violation can be many different things. So let me just go over what different lane violations can happen at this DMV. So a lane violation, for example, can be not checking over your shoulder when you change lanes. So when you change lanes, you have to signal right, for example, check your right mirror, and then check your blind spot window. This is your blind spot window here, this one back here. That's your blind spot window. So anyway, when you a lane violation is, for example, if you're turning right and there's a bike lane, the bike lane goes from solid a solid line to a broken line. When the line is broken, then you go into the line now to make the turn. So your car is now in the bike lane. And then you should always, if there is multiple lanes, you can only choose the right lane, okay? You cannot go into that lane, only this one, the lane closest to you. Before you go into the bike lane, you have to, first you have to signal right at least 100 feet away, so back here somewhere. Let's just say this is 100. Well, let's just say 100 feet away, you signal. The second thing you do, you check your mirror, and you're checking for cyclists. Someone might be riding their bike in this lane here. the last thing you do is check your blind spot. Not checking your blind spot will fail you on your test right here. So make sure you check it. So you signal, check your mirror, check your blind spot, and then once the bike lane is broken, you can merge in. You can go into the line. That's what merging in is. The reason why you go into the bike lane is because if there's cars behind you and they want to go straight, you're not blocking them. You move over. Because if you turn from here, let's say this is you, and you take this turn, you're slowing down all the traffic behind you. So you must move over. So this is wrong. This is correct. Okay? Never turn like this. Always go into the bike lane. Unless there's a bike... another reason why you go into a bike lane is because you wanna go into it so that in case a bicyclist shows up, let's say he's coming from behind you and you were at the red light right here, he won't try to squeeze in next to you. So that's why you go in, so that you can block him and he can stay behind you. He has to stay here. But if you leave an opening, a cyclist might try to squeeze in there. But you don't want him to do that. You block it in. You go into the bike lane so that he stays in this mirror behind you, okay? That's why there's two reasons why you go in. But on the DMV test, if you don't signal, check your mirror, and check your blind spot before merging, they will fail you. Now also here's another lane violation. When your lane is merging, when it's going from 2 lanes to 1, you'll see normally like the arrows on the bottom, right? So your car must merge like this. And normally the examiners might not tell you to merge. But up on the road, you're going to see these signs that say lane ends, merge left, So it's your responsibility to merge. So again, what do you got to do when you're merging into a lane? You signal, check your mirror, check your blind spot. So make sure you do it always in that order. Again, here when the it's center turning lane. So there's a lot of center turning lanes like this where you make a left. And then back here, it's going to be the inside yellow lines are broken. So within 200 feet away, you can go into the center turning lane. You don't have to wait until the little opening here, where it's like, let's say this is a stop. So you don't have to go here if you don't have to. You can go in from back here. This is okay to go 200 feet away. If the inside yellow lines are broken, you can do that. This is a center turning lane. Center turning lane. Which then becomes a left turning lane. So here you have to signal, check your mirror, and check your blind spot. Or smog. Smog stands for signal, mirror, look over your shoulder, which means your blind spot. Shoulder. I hope you understand my writing. And then G stands for go. So signal, check your mirror, look over your shoulder, and then go when you change lanes, okay? Don't forget that. Another lane violation is the left turn yield. I don't know if you know what that means. Do you know what a left turn yield is when you can turn left but you have to wait? Do you know what that is or no? A left turn yield is you'll see it on an intersection because you're going to come across a lot of these lights out here. But it's the type of light that on your left pole, it's just going to be a round green light. So a round green. When it's round, that means that you have to yield, okay? Or it's unprotected. This is important that you learn this. Let me draw the other one. The one that has an arrow up over here on the corner. Let me draw the red arrow. The green arrow. If you see a green arrow like this, it didn't come out that good, but you get it. So this is called a protected light. There is a difference when turning left, because if you're turning left on a protected light, let's say this is This is you making a left turn in your car. If you're turning left on a protected light, you have the right of way. But when it's unprotected, when it's this light, you don't have the right of way. That means they get the green light too. And if they're making a right turn or if they're going straight, they have the right of way.
Okay.
But on a green arrow, they have a red light. They cannot go. So you're protected on a green, and you're unprotected on a round green light.
So left turns are last.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you see that light, yeah. But on an arrow, it's your right of way. Okay. Now there's one last thing I just want to briefly go over because I want you to drive on the road. But this right of way is a common right of way, and a lot of students actually get this wrong. And if 3 cars arrive, there's 1, 2, 3. Let's say this guy's going left. He's going left, and he's going right. So on this T uncontrolled intersection is what this is. Uncontrolled means that no one has a stop sign. So if no one has a stop sign and they all arrive at the same time, do you know who has a right of way first? Is it this one?
The one who was at the right.
So who's that? Can you point at it?
Well, who's there at the right first?
Well, if they all show up at the same time, who would be first? If they all arrived at the same time. There's a 1, 2, and 3. Who would be first? Do you know?
I guess anybody.
Not anyone. It would actually, there's always an order. So it's him first, him second, and him third. This guy has a right of way first because he's turning right. But if he was still going straight, he still has the right of way. He doesn't have to stop for anyone if no one has a stop sign here. This one, number 2, he's second. But again, if he wants to go straight, he doesn't have to stop. He can just keep going. But if he's going left, he's intersecting across oncoming cars, so he's turning left against them. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 100 cars. Number 2 has to wait for all of them to go. And it doesn't matter if they're going straight or turning right. They have the right of way. After they're done, let's just say there was 2 here, 1, 2. Number 2 can go now. Number 3 is last.
Okay.
He's always last. So even if I make this example with 1 car less, let's just show you one more. Let's say this time, this guy shows up to make a left, right? And then this guy shows up to go left. Now if he shows up first, 1, and then he shows up second, 2, who would go first if he got here first? Who would go first? Do you know? This one would still be first. It doesn't matter if he shows up first. Doesn't matter. This guy still has a right of way. So let's say he shows up, boom. He shows up second. He doesn't even have to stop. He just has to slow down and turn. So he's 1 and he's 2. The one coming out is always last. This is the through side of traffic. So if another car happens to show up and he's going straight, then it would automatically become 1, 2, and then 3.
Oh, so like the other model.
Yeah, same thing. It always works the same no matter what, even if I make it slightly different. So let's say it's just slightly different. Let's say this car this time wants to go right, and then this guy wants to go left, and this time this guy wants to go straight. So it's still the same way. He has the right of way because he's going straight. This guy is going left, so he's second, and then he's third. So it's always the same. Do you have any questions about that?
No, that's
Okay.
it's good.
Now, right turns on red. I can show you that just really quick. A lot of people fail when they take their test even experienced drivers fail on a right turn on red. Even the best drivers fail. But I'm just going to try to point out a couple things. So, on a right turn on red, there's 3 directions that you're looking out for on a right turn on red, okay? So let's say this is you making a right turn on red. Hang on a second. The pattern of a light works very simple. So the way a pattern works is like this. When let's say you just arrived at a right turn on red, your light, let's just say your light just turned red right now, and it was a busy intersection. The way the lights are gonna go is the ones turning will get the light first. So this one turning and then this one turning left. The arrows. After the arrows turn red, then it's the ones going straight. They get the green light. After they get a red, it's these guys' turn. They'll get the green light, the ones turning the green arrow, and then they get it straight. So it's like that all day long. They turn and they go straight. They turn and they go straight. They turn all day long. Now, when you stop here for the first time and then you move up for the second time, when you move up, when these guys start to turn, it's important that you move up and you try your best to see what the color of their green arrow is. So if you notice that it's green, their arrow, because you poked out, try to see if it says no U-turn for them. If you see a sign that says no U-turn and they're turning left on a green arrow, then that's the best time for you to make a right turn on red. It's easy because you don't have to worry about them doing a U-turn. Now, if they're turning left on a green arrow, and let's say there's 3 or 4 cars, let's just say there's 3 cars lined up. If there's if they can do a U-turn and they're turning left on a green arrow and there's multiple lanes like this, be careful because you don't know who's going to do the U-turn, so wait for the last person to go. Let's say this is the last person and he went left, then go ahead and turn right away right there before the arrow turns red. So they're first. Remember, after they're done turning, it's going to be these ones, right? The ones from the left. So after they get the red light, it's going to be this side number 2. He's last, side number 3. So on your left side, when you're out and looking at them, also look up at their light. Try to look up through this window and try to see if what color their light is. And while you're looking left to see when it's going to clear, you're looking left, but check up on their light up here and check on the corner because out of nowhere a pedestrian can come by and walk in front of you. So check up. Now make sure that both lanes are clear. If you're going to turn right, make sure your lane and this lane are clear. Never turn while there's a car on the outside lane. So let's say your inside lane is clear. Never turn together like this. That's not safe. So make sure both lanes are clear. This one and this one have to be clear before you turn. Okay? Even though you're not going to turn in that lane, you need to make sure both lanes are clear. That one and this one. It's just safer. Now when they get the red light, the ones turning will get the green light. You can tell when their light's going to turn red easily because this light up here, if you can tell that it's green, you can tell their light is green too. But sometimes it won't turn red at the same time, depending on how many cars are lined up. Because if there's 5 cars lined up and only 2 cars here, then it'll turn red soon for this guy, but then take longer green for this side. But anyway, not to confuse you too much. When they're going on a green arrow, wait for all of them to finish, okay? Because they can pick any lane, the first or the second. So don't feel impatient to want to go. Just wait. Let them all finish. So if there's 5, 3, 4, 5, so because you don't know, they can pick any lane, and you don't want to go when they go because they can hit you, and then you're on a red light, they're on a green light, you'll lose the case, okay? Now, when it comes to pedestrians, I didn't talk about pedestrians, but now I am. If there's a pedestrian standing here and he looks like he's going to look cross this way, if you're just arriving at the red light and they're turning left like that, as soon as they're done turning, their light's going to turn green to go straight. And if they push the button, their little crosswalk's going to turn on. Beep, boop, beep, boop. So stay behind the line, let them finish turning, and then wait for their light to turn green so that he can walk. So stay behind the crosswalk, let him walk, make sure there's no more pedestrians around, and then you move up, okay? Now, if there's a pedestrian looking straight that way, as soon as they're done turning, your light's going to turn green, right, to go straight or to turn right. But when it turns green, let it turn green and let him walk. So let them finish turning, let your light turn green, and then let the pedestrian walk. Wait until the pedestrian's at least out of your lane entirely, and then you can just turn. So making a right turn on red in steps, it basically goes like this. The first thing you do when you decide to make a right turn on red is make a full stop behind the line. The second thing you do is you check for pedestrians, right? No pedestrians, and then always look up to see if there's no sign that says no turn on red. If it says no turn on red, forget about it. Don't even move up on the crosswalk. Just stay behind the line. So check for pedestrians. The third thing you do, now if there is no pedestrians on the corners, no pedestrians present, then you move up. That's when you go from 1 to 2. Then you move up. Now, fourth and last, when you decide to go on a red light, you always go at your own risk. Okay, because let me just briefly go recap. Risk. Don't forget that. But just to recap real quick. So the hazards are this. If you're turning right on red and you don't look up to see if they can do a U-turn or they can do a U-turn and they do a U-turn and you crash, you're at fault. You're the one on red light. They're on a green arrow. They'll sue you. You're in trouble. When you're turning right and it's the ones on your left, look, pay attention real quick. Make sure both lanes are clear, not just your lane, but the outer lane too. Because if he changes lanes and hits you, you're at fault. The cop's gonna show up and ask who was green, who was red. Oh, you were red? You're at fault then. If they go and then you go and you when you should have waited and you crash, you're at fault. They sue you, you lose. You hit a pedestrian, you should have stayed behind the sidewalk and you moved up and now he has to walk around you. That's a ticket. So you lose. So these are all the hazards on a right turn on red, okay?
Okay.
Now at this point, I think I pretty much explained a lot. So if you're ready to go, we can go ahead and start driving now.
Great.
You can keep this paper too for reference. Are you ready?